Hello there. My name is Roger Weitzel, and let's just all start with a smile. Today is December 12th, 2020, and today we're going to do some math. Today we're going to talk about a unit circle, kind of a useful tool when you're trying to figure out sine, cosine, and tangent of common angles. So let me share my screen and we will get into it. So I've got my question here, my sample question, and we have this as what we're trying to do here. It says, what is the value of sine of pi over 6 from a unit circle? Well, let's just give a little introduction to the unit circle. So let me see if I can draw a circle. I don't like the placement of that. Let's see if we can, how about if we do it here? All right, then we'll do this in a different color. We're going to make an axis system here. And we want to do a line, so we are going to do, how about if we do that in a nice purple? So of course, a circle has 360 degrees. So we start out at 0. We go to 90 degrees. We go to 180 degrees. And we go to 270 degrees. When we get back here, we are going to be at 360. Well, on a unit circle, this is where we make I'm just going to mention the term radians. So if we have 360 degrees, that is equal to 2 pi radians. So we're just going to label it that way for the time being. And if you have questions about that, we will cover that in another lecture. So what I said was 360 was equal to 2 pi. And we're just going to divide this circle, dividing 360 divided by 2 is 180. 2 pi divided by 2 is pi. So we're just going to put pi over here. 360 divided by 4 is 90. So 2 pi divided by 4 is going to be pi over 2. And so we can see that we have 0, 2 pi, pi over 2. This is pi, and we're going to, at this point, we're going to have 2 pi over 3. All right, so this is your unit circle. Hopefully you have seen this before. This is so that we can establish what the heck they're talking about right here. So what do they mean when they say the sine of pi over 6? Well, we know that this is pi over 2. So if we have pi over 6, that would be the same as, what would we have to do to get pi over 6? Well, if I was to multiply this by 1 over 3, I would get pi over 6. So if we break up this section of the circle into what color do you guys want? How about red? So what we're doing is taking this section of the circle and dividing it into thirds. So if we take 90 degrees and divide that by 3, we are going to get the number 30 degrees. So all of that was to try to figure out what angle are we talking about. So if we create that line right there, this is a right triangle. And so now we're going to be able to, this is one of our special triangles. And for the time being, I'm just going to remind you that if we have a 90 degree or a 30 degree right triangle, we know the relationship of the sides. We know that this is going to be 30. We know that this is going to be 60. And we know that this is going to be 90. What we're trying to do is to establish these sides. And I know that in relationship to this angle, that this is the opposite side, this is the adjacent side, and this is the hypotenuse. And I also think that we've talked about the SOHCAHTOA. So remember, this is your Indian term for trigonometry. And what we have here is that sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. Well, they are asking for the sine. So that means we're going to use this. And so we're going to use opposite and adjacent. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to just put in here the when we're dealing with a 30, 60, 90 triangle, the relationship on these sides, the shortest side is going to be 1. The hypotenuse is going to be 2. And the adjacent side is going to be the square root of 3. So knowing that, we're looking for opposite over hypotenuse. That I'm just, I guess, trying to show you that they have already have made this determination that you know this relationship. So at this point, they're just trying to figure out, do you know that the sine is opposite over hypotenuse? So if I take opposite, that's 1. over 2, that's going to be equal to sine. And if we look at our possibilities here, look at that, the very first one. Let's just take a look at the other ones to make sure that we haven't been thrown off course. But again, we made our calculation without even looking at these answers. This one looks exactly like what we came up with. This doesn't look right. This doesn't look right. This doesn't look right. This doesn't look right. So we are going to go with this answer right here. So the answer to this problem is, let's just go over the steps real quick. We introduced a couple of concepts here that hopefully you're already familiar with, but we'll just review them. We take a unit circle. The unit circle is divided up into 30, 90, 180, 260, which is equivalent to, in terms of radians, that's equal to 0, pi over 2, pi, and 2 pi over 3. They said we were dealing with pi over 6. So we could have just started with the pi and divided that by 6, and that would have given us the 30 degrees. And now that I think about it, that would have been an easier way to get this number. Once we have the angle, then we try to figure out if we know a relationship, and we do know a relationship for a 30, 60, 90 triangle. This, of course, is only true if it's a right triangle. We're setting up the ratios. We're using our term SOHCAHTOA, and that's going to be opposite over hypotenuse. 1/2 is the ratio we were looking for, and that happens to be answer number A. If you have any questions, please let me know at this time. Okay. Hearing none, we will stop this video and see